If we got a show for you. Lil Sean. Broccoli, celery, gotta be VeggieTales. Lima beans, collard greens, peachy keen, VeggieTales. Cauliflower, sweet and sour, half an hour, VeggieTales. VeggieTales, VeggieTales, it's time for VeggieTales. Throwback, Sunday.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
I'm Michael Ruffino.
And I'm Liz Brody.
And have we got a show for you? It's this week. How about a girl?
How about a girl?
That was the mail, the letter that was sent to Big Idea that inspired them to make this 45-minute epic.
This entire film.
This like mini motion picture, dry one for Jonah. Pretty much like a dry run for Jonah. Esther, the girl who became queen.
She did become queen.
She is Slay Queen.
We have a guest.
We have a guest?
We do have a guest.
A three-peater?
Yes. A 3-time returning champion.
Andy Bates, everybody.
Andy.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one of those jackets like the SNL people.
Yeah, the three-timers
Three
club.
times on a VeggieTales podcast, but a smoking jacket.
Yeah.
Do they sell VeggieTales smoking jackets?
It's there's probably a Letterman jacket with Bob and Larry on it, right?
Ooh, I'd go for one of those.
We're vintage clothes shopping, but solely for VeggieTales merchandise from the early 2000s.
Very much so.
I hate to take us already off theme, but the coolest thing I saw recently was this NFL commentator with like a Letterman jacket shape, but it was seersucker material. It was classy.
I saw a picture of Susan Sarandon wearing a Simpsons Letterman jacket that she got for guest starring on an episode back in the 90s, and it still fits. Good on you, Susan.
It's a humble brag, I guess.
God bless Susan Sarandon.
Yeah.
Andy, you wanted to do this episode very specifically. What was the draw? What was the appeal?
The impetus was really more about Esther than more about the text than the VeggieTales episode, I should say. I had seen the VeggieTales episode probably once, but it wasn't one that we had on tape, and it wasn't one that they played a lot at the church my family was in. So part of it was to rewatch that, and the other part was just to dig into a story that I'm very familiar with. I'm sure we'll cover Purim. I mean, Obviously, certainly at the end of the story, you have to. But it is obviously the best holiday for several reasons.
Oh, yeah. So, fun fact, when Andy and I were roommates, we got a card to put all of our bills and stuff on.
I still have it, actually. This is my debit card to this day.
Okay, the debit card is a picture of me and Andy at Purim at Shul dressed as Indiana Jones and his father.
Maybe y'all can put this on the Instagram and like blur out my card number.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if that's... I don't know. That's not very legible without...
I'm sure the picture still exists somewhere.
Yeah.
We can pull it out. But
for sure. I did pull it from something.
Yeah, so Purim's been pretty central to our friendship.
Yeah. But really that was the end. We'll get into it, but like can I have an unpopular opinion?
Always.
This was the least captivating VeggieTales episode I think I've rewatched so far.
That's
Despite
fair.
my insane love of the story.
That's fair.
Isn't that weird?
Explain yourself.
The songs didn't get into my head, my heart to the same degree as many others. And the biggest thing that I can't even wait for us to discuss is what vegetable is she? like
a bean. Like a string bean.
She's something.
Yeah.
I think they just yassified a vegetable to the point of, non-recognition. I think she's asparagus sized. The other asparagus that are around, like, she's about that size, but like, she's got this willowy neck.
I'm leaning towards a green bean, perhaps.
I'm trying to look it up. I'm trying to see what she is.
I thought about a snow pea. Maybe.
Musically speaking, this is the most we're making a musical, Andrew Lloyd Webber style musical about Esther?
She is a leek.
Well,
Oh,
She's a
is she an upside down lake? Is that why is her head the bulb?
that's what I'm assuming.
That seems.
But then
to
her
make
head is pure green.
green onion leek. Okay.
She said maybe a green onion.
I mean, George the green onion is also similarly designed.
Yeah, there's a lot of green onions.
Yeah, she's.
But not like the scallion. She doesn't
They're
look like the
different.
scallion.
Well, they're scallions. I'm not defending that. I'm just saying the So the
They are
scallions of the.
rapscallions.
Well, a spring onion and a scallion are very similar.
They are very similar. I think I think her being a leek. Let's see. Let's look up a picture of a leek. Leek vegetable.
I mean, I hate to break it all down, but I feel like we've been very complimentary, and so like we've proven our bona fides as like fans. And
The one that had the most effort put into it is the one that you're the most critical of. Interesting.
maybe I don't. Yeah.
So she's definitely shaped like a leek. Leeks notoriously have those little white tips. Maybe they were.
Covered by hair.
Yeah, I don't know. She has some sort of allium.
She's got hair. They made a big deal about the hair.
They did.
Yeah.
Hair is hard to do in computer animation.
Well, and also only one other VeggieTales character explicitly that I can think of has hair. That's the Peach.
The peach has hair.
hair.
I guess we could argue Mr. Lunt has hair. He has a mustache.
Oh yeah.
He-
Mr. Nezer has hair.
You see Mr. Lunt's hair in a later
Yeah.
episode. Minnesota Cuke. You
The
see-
family in Madame
Doesn't
Blueberry
he
has
swoosh
hair.
it at one point?
he combs his hair because they're looking for Samson's hairbrush.
Yeah.
Also, Minnesota Cuke, a Indiana Jones parody, going back to Indiana Jones, starring Larry the Cucumber, where he's looking for a hairbrush.
Yeah, there's
layers to
there's
that.
a few characters that have some sort of hair, and you see a lot of the female character. Madame Blueberry's hair.
Well, I think those are wigs.
Yeah, I
man.
think
yeah.
that's weird.
What
like,
is
We
a
know-
wig but a hair? And in a universe in which a wig exists would imply
It's
the possibility of hair.
That's gender affirming care wig there.
Yeah, and that counts as hair. It's your hair if you bought it.
Yeah. I agree. I mean,
Okay.
but do we think the hair on the girl who became queen is store bought or God brought? What do we think?
So we see her in the beginning with the same hair with a little strand hanging down to let us know she's scrappy. But also it wasn't uncommon to wear wigs, especially since a lot of like that thing where like the Egyptians would shave their heads and then wear wigs to avoid lice was common throughout the world. And there's also, not to get too deep into it, there's a few rabbis who have the opinion that on a technicality, Esther could have potentially been married, so she could have been wearing a wig,
Like how a couple weeks ago they were like, technically she's divorced. Technically
Yeah.
she's married.
Yeah, there's a lot of technically she's in Tanakh.
But
Patriarchy.
it was such a treat last time to have the transcript. I really should have done that for myself, but I'm looking to see how easy it is to get
it's
now.
Some
pretty easy.
enterprising
Super easy.
VeggieTales fans have dutifully transcribed every
Yes.
episode. Thank you, fans.
If you go to bigidea.fandom.com.
Also, I promise I have good things to say. I promise I have good things to say. But is the narrator a character I couldn't recognize offhand?
This is a one-off Italian American.
Yeah. It's just
That part.
they used a Godfather framing.
Yeah. They had the
So-
lines, and he's kind of like a mob boss, being the king.
There's a lot of the Godfather framing too. You get all of the fedoras and the pinstripes, and they do a lot at once.
Yeah, I like the P's being the tires
Yeah,
on the.
that was good.
I was definitely gonna mention that. But
See, on
That
this
is how a paladin would work.
yeah, on this episode, Andy, the true synthesis of Judaism and Italian culture.
Yeah,
This
really.
is the one
where
that you're least.
this is the
captivated by.
missing link.
Yeah,
actually.
this is where it all started. This is the treaty that says that Italians and Jews are allowed to play each other. This is what it stemmed from.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we we open onto the palace, and then we
No countertop, no framing,
Nope.
no theme song even. I don't remember.
Opens at a palace at night, and it's very similar to the Aladdin opening.
Yeah, this is the most Disney. I said, I was thinking Angel Lloyd Webber earlier. This is like a Disney musical.
It really is, yeah.
Like in Howard Ashman, Alan Menken kind of.
Because I mean, you
Disney
get.
Renaissance.
I mean, it's a princess story.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. We go straight in there because even we were talked about it a bit with Daniel with like the
Wide
water
shot, yeah.
kind of wide shot thing. We get a bit of that, but not even as much of that. It's very straight in to the palace, which
And they're able to go over the city instead of just the water. It shows us.
Yeah.
The animation style has gotten really. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, this is definitely gearing up to Jonah.
Yeah.
they're flexing their muscles on the animation.
Or wherever.
I did love that this first scene where you get the recounting of Vashti's banishment, basically, that they did it in silhouette.
Yeah.
I loved that.
I love that she's just such a disgruntled Jewish woman. I was like, this is my step grandmother. Like, this is, I know her.
Can you make me a sandwich?
Well, and like, also they're translating this to something age appropriate for children.
Yeah, that's what I thought watching it.
But they still managed to find, I think, very interestingly, a reference to the patriarchy. Like,
It's totally
Make Me a
appropriate,
Sandwich
yeah.
is definitely like, A1 reference to the patriarchy, and yet it's, non-graphic, so it's for children.
I said it's so tonally appropriate because it's like that same, it seems kind of like innocuous, but there's like an impending sense of doom behind it. And it felt really monumentous as a kid, and it being like in the middle of the night, and in the Megillah, she's taken away from her quarters, kind of just at random at an annoying time, but like to really translate it to what a child can understand, having it be like 3 a.m. is it was really impactful. I think that was like really. This was the episode that we had this on video and DVD. I watched this all the time. I loved this as a kid. I've taught this one in my classroom. We would watch it every single year. And studying, I think this is the one where it's like, this is a Bible story in the VeggieTales universe that I remember from my childhood, that I remember being like that true transition into studying Torah on a deeper level later. So like to this day, when I study Megillat Esther, I still kind of picture the characters in this, and the way that it translates makes so much sense. And it was just like really well done. So yeah, having the weight of Vashti's situation being translated for children, I think they did such a good job at having that like, frivolity and the consequence so perfectly wrapped up. And then when Mr. Lunt kicks her out and is like, no one's going to listen to you, and he's talking to the king, and he's like, we had to kick her out because no one's going to listen to you if they saw that Vashti didn't do it. The way that the actual like consequences in the Megillah are offered. Again, that's also, it's so perfect and it's so appropriate for children with that like strong sense of justice behind it.
Yeah, I thought it was very smooth, in contrast to like the issues I had with the ducky. Like,
The ducky.
It was a lot easier, I think, to do this one, but they still managed to do all of that action very deftly. And then that switches into the search for a new queen.
Which I love. It's a very early 2000s thing of making it a talent competition, like a beauty pageant or American Idol.
What it was.
Really?
So
Like, pretty much
no, that is exactly what it was.
getting
So
a golden
like,
ticket to go to Hollywood.
so in the portion, it's very explicitly says that it is a beauty contest. So like, and there was a song portion.
Yeah.
So like
It
seems so silly, but that's
what
kind
stuck
of the
with me the
point.
most was the puppy. Puppies are
Cuddly puppies are cute. Puppies are never nasty or mean. And then she was cross-eyed. Yeah.
That character went viral separately from the rest of the story. Because
Well, and I guess that's the closest we get to a silly song. Because, we don't
get just a taste of a silly song.
So,
Yeah,
okay, so the scene that we kind of transition from, so after Vashti gets kicked out, and you get the tone of Ahasuerus being kind of not the most competent leader, just being kind of like, yeah, whatever you say. All right. That like kind of dumb guy, wise guy is such a perfect character for him to be, and having Mr. Nezer, the kind of like bumbly, clueless, like, business owner is so perfect.
Powerful person who doesn't know
exactly what's happening.
it means well or is ignorant of how.
Yeah. So him,
Kind of a
because
Theoden, if you will.
no, I will not.
You won't?
Theoden not knowing what's going. No,
Worm tongue in his.
he gets manipulated by Saruman and Sauron.
And worm tongue.
Yeah, in a way, but then he recovers from. Okay, all right, I see where.
See?
Yes, but no, because Theoden's competent,
Theoden was at one point competent.
and then he becomes competent again.
That's true.
And in the story, the only thing Ahasuerus does is he lets Esther like do her thing. Theoden was a strong leader in and of himself. I think Ahasuerus is a strong leader in the end, in that he knows his place is to kind of stay away, because even though he has total authority, he's not necessarily the one who should be able to wield it.
Well, I'm gonna take after Mordecai and advocate for a little more Lord, a little less rings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you kind of get in. We'll get into it with the text, but like they're kind of trying to explain quickly what the relationship is between Esther and Mordecai, because he's not her father. He is her much older cousin in this rendition. He's much, much older.
Yeah.
I think one thing that brought up to me was like how great could the difference probably have been. Certainly a whole generation.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been her grandfather, but
Pot grape just went gray early.
right.
Why do you think that they made him the cousin? Do you and not her father?
That's the text.
That's what he is.
Oh, the cousin. Okay.
Yeah.
And in the text, it explains how her parents. She's an orphan.
Yeah, she's an orphan, and she has to move into Shoshan with her cousin Mordecai, who is her surrogate father, and raises Hadassah.
But in this, they kind of try to give you a moment that encapsulates that whole thing, that kind of establishes their relationship. And she's got some cockamamie story about an apple.
The apple, when she's like, I saw my friend steal an apple, and I audibly went, no, you didn't, Esther.
I guess that is our letter scene.
Yeah.
That is like this is something that
the small version.
Yeah, this is something that a kid would kind of come across.
Yeah.
So that you could take the lesson from this episode and learn. That's in lieu of a countertop and letter scene.
Yeah.
That's our kind of way in.
That's our thesis.
As a 4-year-old.
Yeah. That sometimes it's scary to do the right thing, but you have to. And the right thing, Mordecai, is to let that girl just have an apple. My God.
But I guess
Anyway, Javert over here?
I guess apples are not
I've been called worse.
apples are not vegetables, so then
Yeah,
they're gonna
true.
be normal size.
They're not talking, they're not alive.
Right.
What about the peach?
He's got hair.
Yeah. But then we've got the American Idol, America's Got Talent style.
X Factor, if
X-
you will.
yeah.
Well, first we got Mordecai and Haman's first little scene.
Yeah.
And first of all, the little bulletin board thing that they have in the town includes an advertisement for King George and the Ducky, now on video.
Yeah.
The pizza place from Daniel and David. The puppy lady has a flyer for her upcoming concert.
Lovely. I'm pre-sold.
And then there was one that I really couldn't see. It was a little too pixelated, but they were like repeating on there. It was good advertising on Big Ideas part.
Also, for the record, we are going to leave it up to you, the viewer, to make noise whenever we mention the name of Haman.
Yeah.
I brought, for listeners, I brought Groggers. I'm going to do it once, not even close to the microphone, but not pretty far away from the microphone. These are wooden Groggers. Groggers are a traditional noisemaker used on Purim. They can come in many different forms. A very common form is this like L-shaped pistol-looking thing with a crank, and that's what I'm going to be doing right
Goose
there.
hated
Yeah, that made noise.
Aw.
Yeah. The dog's upset.
Goose, come here, bud.
Andy brought him in, and he demonstrated it, and I'm like, yep, that sure did make noise.
But, yeah. Haman or Haman,
Yeah.
Yamak Shemo, is when we get to the celebration and the remembrance of Purim, we'll talk about that. But I wanna keep myself focused. I'll be honest.
So we have, all of the eligible ladies need to come with me. Esther doesn't want to go. She jumps, or she like turns the other way and tries to walk away. Haman's like, no, you have to get in the cart too. And then Mordecai and Haman have like a little tussle where Mordecai is, like, don't tell them that we're related. Haman's like, bow to me. He's like, no. He's like, are you calling me a gnat? And he's like, a gnat? The G is silent. And then they get into a little fight, which is like the establishment for the conflict and relationship between Mordecai and Haman there. Kind of right off the bat.
But that is, Haman does come in on the car with the peas as wheels, and these are the group of peas that you get in different episodes. What I loved about that was it not only helps, modern child viewers like get it's a vehicle, kind of translates the car. It also translates like the nastiness and the subjugation of Haman to be literally traveling on people, sort of on vegetables.
I believe peas are a starch, if we need to be technical here.
Are they?
Starchy vegetable, yeah.
But I actually thought in the VeggieTales version, the back and forth of go, I don't want to go, it was actually surprisingly drawn out to me. I was like, get in the cart. We know the story. She really didn't want to go.
No, I mean, I don't blame her.
But you gotta spell it out. Gotta spell it out for the children's.
Yeah. No, and I mean, like, having, when I would teach this, when we would get to that scene, we would usually pause and have, like, a small discussion about, like, how scary that situation actually would be. Like, you are literally being kidnapped. You are going to be taken away from your family. You are going to be in this place in the text for several years, even if you don't become queen. Also, like, what happens to you when you don't become queen? It's probably catch and release, we hope. But you're also probably incorporated into the harem, which is probably equally frightening.
Much worse than any island of perpetual tickling.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of, like, these are, like, pretty high stakes. And yeah, a lot of people would have willingly gone, but also, again, if you know you're, one, probably not going to get it, but, like, two, you got a whole life going on. Because it was young women, so that included, especially in the culture at the time, women who were married, probably women who did have children. That was, it's high stakes. And when you were a minority, because we don't necessarily see in the text Esther refusing to go, but you do understand the consequence of her being Jewish in the society at this time and what that could mean for you going to the palace.
Also, there was what shocked me about reading it was the lengths of time. So in the beginning, the banquet Achashverosh is having for the people is really at the end of this whole cycle where he had a big one. Then they had 180 days, that's 6 months, of celebrating the wealth, which doesn't go into much detail on. I'm sure there's great scholarship.
He likes a banquet.
Yeah, everybody does.
Loves a banquet, yeah.
But, so there was that length of time. And then when it talks about taking the young women away, it's literally a year for each of them before they see the king. A period of preparation of 12 months where they're bathing them in basically essential oils.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
To the point where you'd smell like, a candle just walking around. But
Not
yeah.
to sidetrack, but one of the little fun. So her Hebrew name is Hadassah, which is myrtle, which is what we use in the Sukkot celebration. But also a lot of times when you leave for Havdalah, the end of Shabbos, what you smell includes myrtle. And one of the perfumes that was easy to get that would have been kind of mid-range, so royalty would have it, would be myrtle. And it was like really strong. It could mask a lot of odors, and the whole like theme is masks and unmasking and revealing. So her name in and of itself being something that's very sweet smelling to hide odors, significant.
That does make her sound stinky, though.
Everyone was stinky then.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The world was stinky up until like the 90s.
Yeah. Maybe like 100 years ago, people started taking baths.
Yeah.
So we then cut to Esther on a balcony with her cousin climbing up. Mordecai is very Romeo-esque,
Yeah.
climbing up the balcony to try to get a word in with the potential queen. And let's see, Mordecai says, "Oh, Essie, I don't know the future, but God does."
I love that they went with Essie because
Yeah.
I've known a lot of Esthers and they all go by Esty.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, got you. That's not Jewish. Nobody named Esther, and our people have never gone by Essie. It's Esty. There's a T in there. He's like, oh, Essie. I'm like, call her Esty.
Contemn a bunch of Protestants from Iowa and Chicago for coming close,
Yeah.
I was like, they're so close. They got to talk to one Jew whose name was probably Esty. Yeah, he comes up with the letter. So one of the things about the actual text that's pretty different from the rest of Tanakh is that the Megillah Esther is very much written like a play. Mm-hmm. So having all these kind of little, references to the stage is nice. You get that kind of throwback. So having like a Romeo and Juliet moment is very, I don't know. I think it's fun because you have, again, there's not a lot of books of Tanakh that are written like this. This reads
one scene flows directly into the next.
Yeah.
It makes sense in progression. You get sometimes you even get stage directions, so to speak, where it's like she was facing the throne. He was sitting on the throne,
point
facing
scepter
out.
to her face.
Yeah, and it definitely adds to the drama of everything.
So speaking of theaters and plays, we then cut to the talent portion of the episode.
Oh, yes.
Where we do hear about some lost puppies. Puppies are cuddly.
Puppies are cute.
They're
Never nasty or mean. I don't remember what her actual voice sounds like right now, but I like that she takes that like long sniff after nasty and mean.
I'd give
Give a home to all the lost puppies. If ever one day I were a queen. And then she arfs at the end.
Yeah,
She's like, arf. And then she gets dragged off the stage.
Contestant number 37.
Miss Akhmita.
What and I'm curious what made them decide to give her a name after saying contestant number 37, and then of all the names to give her.
Miss Akhmita. I think she's just representing Akhmita. Which I didn't look up. I didn't see what that means. Maybe it has a connection to the puppies, or maybe someone just wrote that. Let's see.
Yeah, this episode was written by one Phil Fisher and one Mike Naraki.
Well,
Akhmita.
Yeah, no, I don't see any. I think it was just a fun song about puppies. I thought it was funny as a kid, and I still think.
I think
funny.
I was gonna say I think it's funny as an
Well,
adult.
I just thought maybe they skewered one of these Persian names in here because I was reading for the names of Haman, for example.
Yeah.
A lot of people think some of these names are not real. That there's a sense of wordplay where it's just
100%.
And honestly, when you add an ethnic element, that's gets a
Yeah.
little too close to people
So,
being like, oh,
yeah.
all those names sound alike. But they were just, saying the names sound like this and like that. And they're kind of like tongue twisters.
Yeah, and is there like another element of the play, and also just of everything being slowly revealed, and the reason that we wear costumes in the first place, and the whole theme of the book having nobody. So like Mordecai and Esther, those are not their names. Haman is not his name. Like everybody's going by a different name in this, and everyone has like 2 to 3 names at the end of the day. So we don't have any. We do have a lot of other characters named. A lot of them are the attendants in the palace. But if it's all of the women from all over the kingdom, you would have women from Akhmita. So it's just a nice little historical thing. I wouldn't have known about Akhmita if it hadn't been for this.
But also, King Xerxes in this episode says, what am I going to do with all those dogs? So apparently, she's not just singing about puppies. This is a...
Oh no, she said in the song that she would save all the puppies as queen.
If she were a queen, this is what she's going to do.
In my mind, she had them backstage. Like, she already had them. She'd gotten a few.
Probably.
She probably grabbed a few.
She probably did.
Yeah.
Just got one in the accordion.
And then...
I like that he's practical about it. I like that he's just like,
Right.
I mean, I'd give her a chance. I don't want to deal with those dogs. Too many. There's too many of them. And I'm sure there was like a crazy wild dog issue, I like that on the transcript it says, Miss Akhmita walks away, offended. And then David Portnoy Scallion, who's hosting this, goes, oh yes, now all the way from Babylon, home of the Hanging Gardens, Miss Babylon. And Esther's like, what's happening?
You want me to do what?
And... Oh my gosh. We can even cut this out if it's too nitpicky. But I thought that what you just did is exactly what he did. And what's weird to me is I would say Miss Babylon. Because
Yeah.
she's Miss Arkansas. She's not Miss Arkansas. That makes her sound like she is Babylon.
Cut,
and so
Andy.
he's like...
What on earth are you going on
And so
about?
it's like Babylon, I thought her name was Esther. The way he said it. Yeah.
She's just the contestant from Babylon.
Babylon.
Yeah.
Babel.
But they're obviously doing a beauty pageant
Yeah.
thing there.
Yeah, and the David Portnoy Scallion knows plenty about that. I assume he crawled out of the lion's den and then get a gig hosting this talent show.
He did say he was going to go to Egypt to be a wise man. So this is... He came back in disguise. Hey. And then I like that she's like, I guess I didn't expect to get this far. You gotta sing something. You're making me look bad. And then she remembers the song that her grandmother used to sing whenever she was in a moral quandary. And I have to agree with Andy. I think as a kid being like, oh, there was a song there.
Yeah.
It's nice. It gets the job done.
It's like a song that's the moral thesis of the,
Yeah. It's not a bad song. It's just, we haven't had a song this serious from VeggieTales before.
That's true. We've not had
Yeah.
anything that with no like it's like a straightforward like part of your world.
Yeah.
Almost like a serious character based
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
See,
I feel like the
yeah.
song in this case is perfunctory, whereas other times they've just been purr.
See, my nitpicky thing with the song, well, the episode in general is that in Megillat Esther, they never expressly say God or Hashem.
Right. That's a big thing.
But
But the song is the battle is not ours. We look to God above.
Yeah.
That's the second line, Liz.
Yeah.
okay,
In the episode,
you're still not supposed to say.
For he will guide us safely through and guard us with his love. All capital S, capital H. All capital H's.
Okay. That doesn't change the fact.
Yeah, the VeggieTales definitely very different.
Oh, you mean
from-
to tell me that VeggieTales does not accurately portray ancient Jewish tradition?
I'm saying-
I'm saying correct.
VeggieTales.
Yes.
saying VeggieTales is more about God than the Bible is.
I mean, so okay, another one of this, like in the actual text, anywhere where you see references to the king, so there's references to Ahasuerus, and anytime you're talking directly about Ahasuerus, it says Ahasuerus. Anytime that it says like His Majesty, it's understood that is the that's Hashem. So you know what, you do get both. Like I said, that was my nitpicky thing. That's just me being silly. It's like when I see a Haggadah that says Moses in it, and I'm like, what are we doing?
We're trying to get Phil Vischer on the show, Liz.
I'm not
Mess it
saying
up.
it's bad. I
Don't
think
you mess it up for me.
Phil
Maybe this
Vischer,
is
if you're
is this Phil baiting, or like some people react to being challenged, and some people are so like maybe if you get him mad enough.
yeah, I'm sure
Have
he's
you
good.
tried that?
He's listening to this and he's like, I'm going to email them right now.
Seething.
Yeah.
How dare they critically examine my work from a different faith
I was
tradition?
just saying, I don't want to get like this, like getting Jim Henson mad at you. Like, I don't want to do that.
I don't think he's capable of getting mad at him.
Okay.
That's not true. I've seen him mad.
We've seen the
I
website.
liked it. I liked it a lot.
But the song works. She's queen on the spot.
Yeah.
And she gets a little time to decompress back in her tower.
We get a nice little crown transition.
And
I also love that when she wins, we understand that Ahasuerus and Haman are the only two in the theater, but there's a full crowd
Thunderous applause.
when
Yeah, yeah.
she becomes queen.
Well, I'm sure it was like Josh in the Big Wall. I was like, how are we clapping?
Yeah. I have no idea. Anyway, so she is on the balcony and she's like, I don't want to be queen. And I feel that. Yeah,
Understand.
this is also where I would pause with the kids when I would teach this and be like, all right, so what does it mean to become queen? Essentially, you're now like, it's not just that you're the first lady, like you're
The first servant.
you're a diplomat now, and you're now responsible for the kingdom and the lineage. And like, yes, part of your job is just to be there and look nice and like entertain the king, but also like the role of a queen throughout history has been, yes, there are times where it's like, oh, you have to just like look nice. You can be like a Marie Antoinette queen, but she still had to go and do like diplomatic work. Like you're still going to have to be given a thorough education on what your new role means. It is literally the biggest responsibility you can have in the society. And if you're just like a girl, that is massive, especially if it is very much against your will. And if you do a bad job, the consequences are dire. So like, this is a terrible, horrifying position to be placed in. It's not like, oh, I want to be the princess and I want to be queen. It's like, at the time, you're going to understand that means
Countless lives are in your hands.
yes, like the stakes are immense, not just for you, but for all of the people who are under your realm. This is more than just like, oh, I get to go shopping. This is like, your life's on the line now. Mm-hmm. And so are a lot of other people's. Obviously, that's what we get the story. But, being a little upset, like, oh, I don't want to be queen. Because I think there was 1 year, one of the kids, but when I had paused it, was like, oh, boo-hoo, poor me, I'm the queen. I was like, well,
It's not fun.
it's not fun. It's good to be king. It's not good to be queen.
right.
Probably wasn't good to be king either, for being honest. Yeah, she is upset. Mordecai's like, well, Essie, maybe God made you queen for a reason. Essie, I just heard the news. You're queen of all Poisia.
Poisia.
Poisia. And Esther goes, yeah.
Well, you gotta be at least a little excited.
Your award-winning Pog Rape impression.
Nobody even
Back-
asked me if I wanted to be queen. Oh, Essie, you always did have a mind of your own. I always liked that about you.
My cousin, the Queen of Persia. Huh, who knew?
Mordecai, the king, what's he like?
Oh, he's sharp, real sharp. I bet you're gonna like him.
And then we get to
I feel like y'all are you've got every ingredient. I feel like we're circling
not
it, we're triangulating
synthesizing quite
it.
Yeah. Okay, but
Yeah.
and then the king is worried that Esther's not gonna like him.
Yeah.
You think she's gonna like me?
I like Larry.
Larry slumming it as Marcus described.
Yeah,
Yeah.
taking his notes in his little hat. Sorry.
I had a big role in the last one, so
Yeah, I like
I'm taking
that.
it easy this week.
I like Larry being able to just be a side character. I think that's fun for him. I like his little stripy hat. I like his little. I like how nervous he looks and bored. He looks bored and nervous at the same time, which is incredible.
It's like that was the Patti LuPone thing where she's said like, well, it's a great role. You do one song, you wait 20 minutes, you're on stage once, do one song, die, off stage another 45 minutes, back on as a ghost, go home, go home early.
Well, and the thing everybody loves about Patti LuPone right now is her attitude.
It's her attitude towards professionals.
That's what we've always liked about her.
Yeah.
So then we get the tale of Bigton and I have him written
Teresh.
down. Bigton and Teresh, who did plot to kill the king, but they are the French pea bakers who are trying to give him a wedding cake and
Drop a piano on his head.
drop a piano on his head. I love a little cartoon violence.
Yeah. I love they came to a situation where they had to have mortal danger and actual violence, and they thought, well, we can make it we can go Looney Tunes with it.
Yes. And I think the piano is funnier than an anvil.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Because the anvil just seems purposefully violent. The piano, that could have happened to anyone. You know?
Yeah. Happens all the time. Try to hoist a piano up to the 15th floor.
I like that you've got just one little pea holding the piano. He is fighting for his life with that rope. And then Mordecai spots it. Esther shows up. She's nervous because she knows what happens to people who show up uninvited before the king. And she goes in. Is this before or after? Do we get Mordecai and Haman having their little scuffle first, or is that? Let's see.
This is right after King Xerxes, as he
Well,
is
they've
in
had
the
their
show.
initial scuffle.
Yeah,
And then
okay.
they've got this gambit with the cake. And then Mordecai.
The cake scene happened before the law was passed.
Okay,
Right.
yeah, right, because they're the reason for it. Okay,
Yeah.
because then Mordecai calls her over and he's like, "Hey, look," and she's like, "Stop! It's a trap." And then they drop the piano on the cake, and they would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for that meddling queen.
Meddling queen.
And that's where we first encounter the executioner who takes them to the island of perpetual tickling. And then we get the law that you cannot show up before the king unannounced, so that no more pianos get dropped on him. And then Esther, that's where it leaves, because then they run away and they start screaming. The narrator is like, there are two things you don't do in Persia. One of them is try to drop a piano on the king's head. The other's appearing before him uninvited. The Piano brothers found these things out the hard way. And that's where we get my favorite line. But Haman had another something else up his sleeve, or wherever, which I didn't catch as a kid. And then watching this again, I was like, yeah, where is that sleeve? Then we get to, this is where we transition into the scene where we get the very like Fiddler on the Roof musical number that lays out the plot to exile that family. Wink, wink, wink.
Wink.
So,
What then to do about this Jesus maniac?
okay, so this is what not bothered me. I've got mixed feelings about it. As a child, I remember feeling the same way about it as I have my whole life up until this moment. I understand why they went with that family. I get that. I was like, why not just say Jews? And I go back and forth on that. And
It's more personal, I think.
there's that part of me where I'm like, just say Jews. Pa Grape is very clearly Jewish. Just say
Right.
Jews, right? Like, you're teaching kids how to like hide the word Jew, you know, like, and that never leads to anything good. At the same time, it does make it a little more personal. It does keep it a little bit, is it tamer?
Yeah,
It's also like, if you're a Christian kid, that's a conversation that needs to be had with more context. As a Jewish kid watching it, I'm like, you just say Jew. But I feel like in Jewish education, you get exposed to more general blatant acts of violence against you discussed more openly.
Christianity is a like universal, not literally universal salvation, but anybody can get salvation.
Right.
It is not tied to ethnicity and the way that Judaism is.
Well-
It's kind of an ethno-religion.
So
Let me finish. Real quick, let me finish.
at the time of this story, yes.
Well, at the time of this story, there was no Christianity.
Yeah, right.
But as far as Judaism being tied to your ethnicity, at the time of the story, yes. At the end of the story, this is where this is officially in the Jewish canon. This is the end of Jewish identity being directly tied to the tribes in the land. This is where we understand Judaism in the context of exile. And where we get the idea of conversion outside of the land. So I had a discussion with a coworker this week about ethnicity in Judaism and how, personally, I've grown up being like, yeah, it's an ethno-religion. And like, well, what does that mean? And what does that mean for people who aren't usually specifically, explicitly Ashkenazi Jews? Is like, if you take a 23andMe and it comes back, it's not going to come back Sephardic or Mizrahi. It's going to come back either Ashkenazi Jewish or wherever your bloodline is from. And that puts Sephardim, that puts Mizrahi, that puts Ethiopian Jews in a really weird spot. Now, as someone with Ashkenazi Jewish blood, when I go to the doctor, I have to put that on my charts because I'm at, a higher risk for certain cancers. And, I have certain genetics and I have certain genes that are very, very prominent in Ashkenazi Jewish bloodlines. But at the same time, what exactly does that mean? Because that bloodline goes back to a very specific time and place, right? So my risk for reproductive cancers as somebody whose family came from, Russia, Pale of Settlement, Bessarabian province, that whole area, right? Not everyone from that area necessarily has that same risk from like certain cities, whatever. So the tie to Judaism is a tie to certain populations or to Jewish bloodline heritage, whatever. It's a complicated thing that I'm still trying to figure out because like for me to be able to, I am not more or less Jewish than a convert.
Oh,
and again, this is again the story where we can start to like really understand Judaism outside the context of blood. And I think that just in general, I'm trying to take away my understanding of what ethno-religiosity is because I've definitely been told one thing my whole life and absolutely just accepted that point blank.
Well, what I was saying was
I'm not yelling at you. Sorry.
What I was saying is that the reason that they made it that family was to skirt that completely.
Right.
Okay.
Because it is big talk.
Yeah.
It's
it
big
is.
talk.
It's
It
very
ain't
big
small talk.
Yeah.
That's big talk.
Yeah.
And I think, they were going for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
They were going for
To completely skirt that question entirely, they made it the family, the immediate relatives of it.
But what I will bridge the two to tie a bow on it.
Please, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. the great thing about that phrase, though,
Right.
is the concept of mishpacha in Judaism, and the idea that rather than phrase it as an ethnicity, you do hear people say the tribe,
Right.
but frankly, I've always found that very hokey. When people say that, it's always coming from like, no.
Yeah.
You're from.
The idea is that a family is broad, it's varied, it will include internal tension,
Right.
it's about love on purpose. Like, that's, a prominent talked about idea in Jewish culture. So even if it's a little coded, it's Esther, it could be hidden, it could be,
True.
it could be subtle.
Yeah, like I said, this is one of those things where, like, even watching it this time, and I was like, just say Jews, and I was like, how dedicated am I to like that idea for real? So it's complicated.
But we do fiddle on that roof.
We do fiddle on
For a
this
minute.
roof, and I know that this is the song that is the architecture of a genocide, but it's so good. I love this song so much.
Yeah.
This is the one I think from this episode that gets stuck in my head.
I see bad things arising.
A sneaky little family will do sneaky little things.
Okay, the part that always got me was we stick their sneaky noses in the matters of the king. I was like, that's anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
I fear if they're not dealt with, the process makes me weep. A zucchini-shaped sarcophagus is where you'll sleep.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
If they don't obey, every citizen will be thrown into the lion's den.
Yeah, it's so good. I love when they do a little klezmer.
Shout out Kurt Heineke. Thank you for.
Yeah. Oh, and at the end where he's like, Mordecai is busted, and then you get the whole chorus of there are those who can't be trusted. I was like, yes, so good. And this is where
now Mordecai asks Esther, "You got to be brave."
gotta be. Hey, yeah. She's like, Essie, did you see this? And then he shows her the little. So in the text, Haman does trick Ahasuerus into signing his edict to, extinguish the Jews. So him doing it very sneaky in this was perfect. And I love the little edict that he sends out where it's a bundle of grapes. And it's just a picture of Mordecai who, what is his hat?
He's a guard.
For Gaddafi? What's French Foreign Legion? What is this hat?
It's very Persia.
Okay.
Poison.
The whole time I was like, what is this?
I also, along with the Godfather thing, I think they're kind of doing a Casablanca thing.
Okay.
Too.
Okay. Like I said, it's very French Foreign Legion.
I am
Muammar
shocked.
Gaddafi.
Shocked
Like-
that there's gambling going on in this establishment. I say Casablanca. That's the one that I go to.
Purim means lots.
Play it again.
It's about gambling.
Play it again, Sam.
Play it again, Shmuel.
Thank you. I'm glad you went for it. Okay, so Mordecai has to go to Esther, and he's like, you got to be brave. And Esther's like, I wasn't even brave enough to go to my friend about the apple. And now you want me to go to the king? If he doesn't banish me for showing up, why would he listen? I mean, Haman is his right-hand man. Paw Grape's like, I can't tell you what to do.
To make it
I
right.
can't tell you what to do.
If they ever redo this as an anime, I will do all the voices.
But yeah, also, honestly, I think it's the number of times we hear the same song.
Yeah, it's the reprise.
In 45 minutes.
The battle. She's not ours.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I think it's like you're trying to. It's repetition. You want kids to really know that.
If kids need to, especially if there's no verse at the end, I don't think there's a verse really.
No, it's just a little line.
So I won't get to play what we learned song this episode.
True.
This episode will be what we learned song free. I don't know what I'm doing. What's happening?
I like that song.
I like that song. I like that song, Bob.
Let it play,
Let
Bob.
it play.
So we go back to Esther knowing that she has to go do the right thing. So she goes to go before the king, and Larry flushes the toilet, and he goes, hi, queen, and then goes into the throne room.
I want to clip that and put it on a soundboard. And
Yeah.
For every time we have a guest on. From now
queen.
on.
Hi, queen.
Relatable.
So they walk in, and I like that they catch Haman just kind of mid setting out his scheme.
I've got a big boat.
Yeah, 2 more days and we'll be rid of that dangerous family forever.
Yeah, and so Esther invites the king and Haman over for dinner,
Yeah.
presumably in a separate situation.
But
And
yeah.
they agree dinner at 8.
Yeah, that's always been like the one weird detail that kind of like stuck in my head when I first watched it. And he was like, "What time?" I was like, "How about 8?" And I was like, "Why do I remember that line? Why does that matter to me?" So they go over, and I love that they're playing Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, and I love the question. They're eating Chinese food, playing Trivial Pursuit.
Which is, I like that she invites them over and just gets takeout like a good Jewish woman would.
Chinese takeout.
Yeah. I do like when she's walking away from the king in the throne room, and he's like, "But my little Queenie Pooh can visit me anytime she wants." And she's like walking away, and she does that face where she's just like, "Ugh, I hate him so much." It's so good.
I love who's the trivia question? Like,
Who's the youngest Jackson? Tito.
Tito.
Nope, not Tito.
I thought for sure it was Tito.
But
That wasn't it, Tito? No, Janet, right?
I think it's Jermaine.
The youngest Jackson? I thought it was.
Who is
I thought it would be Tito, Michael, or Jermaine. Or not Jermaine.
youngest
Janet.
Jackson? Randy Jackson.
Randy Jackson.
I like that when you go to type in who is the youngest person, the first thing that pops up says alive.
oh damn.
Who was just born?
Who is the youngest person alive?
Who's the youngest Jackson left? Yeah. But that does actually bring back an interesting thing about the text is it really seems like she gets this idea and she asks him, and then it's like, yeah, so they went to the banquet she'd prepared for them. And I'm like, when? When did she get the time to
When she
prepare a banquet?
Told her servants to do it.
Yeah.
She has servants now.
I don't know.
You can go pick up Chinese.
I'm sure the Chinese food in Babylon was great.
A succulent Chinese meal.
Sounds delightful. And then I love that Haman, when he leaves, because Esther's too afraid to say anything, so she invites him over again the next night, which is how it happens in the text. And then Haman's outside the gate talking to Mordecai, and he's menacingly shuffling the Trivial Pursuit cards.
Shuffling the cards menacingly.
Yeah, like it's very, like, yeah, he's doing the mob guy thing where he's like, flipping the cards all like fancy, and then he drops the Trivial Pursuit card, and it does give you the answer, Randy. I wrote Jermaine down for some reason.
Oh, well, it says Janet was the answer here.
Was Randy not born?
Oh, yeah, well, maybe this foolish right-hand man could take you for a trip to Tickletown tonight.
And then you get the king in his bedroom, and he can't sleep, which again is right from the text. And Larry, as Marcus, is reading him his annals, and King puts his slippers on and brushes his teeth. 9:32. King cuts himself shaving.
Ouch. I remember that one.
How about something more recent? You got anything more recent? And he's like looking through a scroll, and he's like, yeah.
What I love about what I always loved about hearing that in the actual story was like trying to read something to fall asleep. Very relatable.
Yeah.
only having the annals of your political rule to listen to, not, you know what I mean? They're like,
Everything
well,
that
what's
you did.
available? That's
Right.
what's available.
Yeah.
So that's what they're going to read. It's like
Yeah.
reading the phone book. To it, you know?
Here's everything you did today.
So then he reads the account of the assassination attempt, and he's like, wait, we need to do something for Mordecai. Just like in the text, Haman opens the door and he's like, I gotta tell you something. And then the king's like, if a guy was really great and he like saved you, what would you do for a really great guy? Haman thinks it's gonna be him. So he's like, put him in your clothes, back to the dressing up in costume thing. You know, put him in your clothes and parade him around town and have somebody be like, this is a really great guy. And then he's like, do that for Mordecai. And Haman's like, what?
Mordecai?
What?
He's mortified.
That's why we keep you around, Andy.
Yeah. And yeah, I like that the king's like, I'm thinking of getting him a card or something. He's like, nah, you're the idea guy. I'm glad I got you around. Oh, I like that when Haman is telling him what to do. He's like, oh, and one of your most noble princes should lead this man through the street proclaiming, this is a really neat guy. The king really likes him. He's brave and has rugged, good looks. And Xerxes and Marcus look a bit confused. I like that they look at each other. I'm like, okay. Sure. And then he's like, yeah, this is from Mordecai, who saved my life. And Haman's like, oh no, what have I done?
Oh no, what am I gonna do? The king likes Mordecai.
More than me and you. And he's regretting everything immediately, and now he has to do this. Yeah, so then Esther has one more chance to save her family. And you see Haman come into Esther's palace being dropped off by Mordecai. And he's like, thanks for the parade.
Bye, guys. Thanks for the pizza.
Laugh all you want. You won't be laughing tomorrow. No, wait, you will. Oh, never mind. And that's when Esther, and again, this is just like beat for beat from the text, which is great. And she's just like, yeah, no, he's trying to kill us all. She pulls the edict out of absolutely nowhere and shows the king. She's like, Haman is trying to kill my family and
Banish the family
banish the family. Sorry. Yeah, banish them.
to the island of perpetual tickling.
Yeah. And then the king is like, banish my queen, who would dare? And she's like, it's Haman, which again is directly from the text in that very stage direction thing where it says that she's like pointing at him and there's some great art depicting the scene. And Haman's like, I don't know what she's talking about. She's crazy. In the text, he falls and then the king gets upset because it looks like he's trying to,
Well, the
do a little-
translations I've seen say ravish.
yeah, he's trying to get a little nefarious with her.
But yeah, no, he literally steps into the courtyard to be like counting to 10, just like,
Yeah.
I'm going to kill him, but I want a moment to just collect myself. And then he comes back in and he's like, oh, great. So now you're trying to like, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, what are you doing? And then he's literally like, she's crazy. And Esther's like, no, you're a bad person. And he's like, no, she's making it all up. And she's like, no, I got the receipts. I got the receipts. Stop it. Mordecai's my cousin. His family is my family.
And
Yeah.
then it says in the transcript, the grim tickler
And he is, yeah.
comes from
Yeah.
Mordecai, comes in for Haman.
Yeah, and they go to the island of perpetual tickling and not the gallows.
Well,
Fair.
Not the
And-
mandolin.
couple
Yeah.
things about that part of the text. One thing I wanted to point off, we get this character of Haman's wife, Zeresh.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love is she does a complete about face.
Yeah.
She's a two-faced lady.
Yes, she is.
She
So
knows
is
where her toast is buttered.
everyone in the story, really.
First, he gets with his wife and all his friends. And like, I love that both times it says his wife and all his friends.
Yeah.
And he says, they say to him, again, anybody having a terrible idea has to give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
So his wife and all his friends said to him, let a stake be put up. And I've always heard it translated as gallows, but when you realize, like, impaled on a stake is worse.
Far worse.
And that's
Yeah.
what they were doing. Let a stake be put up 50 cubits high, and in the morning asked Mordecai to be impaled on it. Then you can go gaily with the king to the feast. That's not VeggieTales.
VeggieTales aren't making shish kebabs.
Then later, after after they go to the feast with Esther, then Mordecai returns to the king's gate, and there Haman told his wife Zeresh and all his friends everything that had been befallen him. His advisors and his wife Zeresh said to him, "Well, if Mordecai, before whom you have begun to fall, is of Jewish stock, you will not overcome him. You will fall before him to your ruin." It's like they were like, "Oh, we missed that he was Jewish." Sorry. If you'd have only said,
If only you brought that up earlier.
Yeah, you're cooked, bro. Yeah.
I think if there was going to be a gallows in this episode, it would be one of those banana hangers.
And so that's it. That's the end. Happy ending.
That's the end, and then everyone gets to live happily ever after. I also the scene where they're at the gate and the Trivial Pursuit cards are being menacingly shuffled. I love that Poggrape turns to Mordecai and he says, "Arrogance is not fitting for a fool, much less is lying fitting for a right-hand man. I will never bow to you." And I was like, what is that? That's from something. It's Proverbs 17:7.
Yeah, there you go.
Arrogant lips are not fitting for a fool, much less lying lips for a ruler. Nice little bar there from Proverbs. Yeah. I was like, ooh, get him. Get him, Mordecai.
That's some wisdom.
That is some wisdom. Pull that Shlomo out on him. Get him. That line hyped me up, not gonna lie.
But one thing that is always, as we go into how Purim comes out of this, in the text, it's very clear that when an edict is signed with the king's signet ring, it's irrevocable, even by said king. So the best they can do after saying everybody can kill the Jews and take their property on this date is be like, and the Jews can defend themselves. Take your chances. And like that. Can you imagine, first of all, how weird it is that they're like, this is months away from happening. Yeah. When you were first told about it. And you're like, in the meantime, everybody's looking at each other like,
are we?
And I'm sure some places took their chances. It basically tells that there was fighting. But it's just, I can't imagine being like, I imagine most people were looking at that like, no, this isn't good. This is like, this isn't going to be good for business.
So
this isn't going to be good for anybody.
No, I mean, it also like in the context of like so it's generally much like a lot of it is generally understood that this is not an actual like event.
Right.
This is a fictitious work. But if in the setting, in the context, I guess to bring like some of the history into it, Babylon was a walled city. So if you had this edict set out, you would have restrictions on travel. So you would not let the Jewish population go in and out of the city walls if this is the edict. So that causes a little tension. It's also, it's one of those other moments where you do see mass violence and like you have that like moment of, okay, we don't have anything to stand on. We don't have any evidence that they did go out and kill 75,000 people in retaliation. It's one of the like things that I always point to when I'm like thinking about the literary motifs, because you do see this happen a few other times where just the way to end the story, like you end a Shakespeare play with a wedding, you end a story in Tanakh with a massacre. Which is,
and then we killed all of them.
Problematic at the end of the day. But in the context of the story, it's like it shows that she's a powerful queen with a lot of sway, and it's also like heavily implied in the text. And there's a way to like read it where it's like, oh no, there's a lot of ties from Haman through the lineage of Amalek, and how like there's the central theme of the central villain, so that like revenge fantasy is an interesting direction that I wanted to read more about. I accidentally went down the rabbit hole of all of the Kabbalah of the Purim story. Maybe it was me subconsciously trying to like maintain my sanity, which then led me on the fun rabbit hole of looking at Babylonian and Jewish astrology and how Haman was an astrologer when he wasn't messing with the king's business, and how apparently he waited until it was Pisces season to put out the edict to banish all the Jews or kill all the Jews. Fascinating.
Such a Pisces thing to do.
I didn't see what he was, but I was just curious because so King David was apparently born on Shavuos, and so was I, which means King David was a Gemini. And you know what? King David's Lilith would have been a Pisces.
Sagittarius. I don't know if that means anything.
Apparently, so, and then I listened to an entire shiurim about how Jewish astrology forever has basically just been acknowledging that there are zodiac signs, that there are 12 star signs with different seasons, and you are allowed to be like, yeah, you might have different personality traits. That's it. That's all you can do with it.
Yeah.
And you can't make predictions, but you can address the future and then look back. So you can be like, here are things that happened under the star sign and then see a theme from that. But you can't look forward, where it was kind of the reverse in Babylonian astrology, where you can only really look forward. If you look back, then that's just not trusting. And so I was very confused by the shiurim. I'm not going to lie, but it was fascinating.
Well, you know that Kabbalah that's famously easy to understand and follow.
Yeah. The Kabbalah of the Megillah Esther and the Purim story in general goes deep. It is long. It is fascinating.
As opposed to that famously shallow Kabbalah that's really easy to
Well,
consume.
there's some that it's just all math and it's kind of hard to wrap your head around because it is just 100% based in the gematria. And then there's things like Esther where it's just layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of mystical meaning, and like there's mysticism in every story, but like this one in particular is just loaded with it because it's one of the few times where you get like a stage play. You get a complete story beginning to end with like intimate details about people. A lot of times it's a lot more vague and you're relying heavily on the midrash. And so this is so laden with details and intentional details that like looking at the Kabbalah of it is really easy for someone who's not learned in Kabbalah to do. So like I don't really mess with Kabbalah. The mysticism part of all of this is like I think it's interesting, but I don't get too invested in it. It can be hard for me personally to wrap my head around. I'm a little more interested in the historical aspect of it, more of like the legal aspect of it. Like I want to look at the halacha of different things, like that to me is more, not necessarily, I think they both have value, but like that's something that is easier for me to kind of understand. But to look at this like a text and to analyze it through that mysticism lens is a little more interesting to me than some of the other things that you can pull mystic, some of the more like mystical interpretations of out of, like looking at the mystical interpretation of like the Jacob and Esau story. I'm like, okay, that's not for me. But for Esther, it's like, okay, that's a little more interesting. It's a little more fun. Especially one of the things that like really stuck out to me I listened to a couple of streaming about Kabbalah and Esther. And one was about the smells, which we had kind of like talked about earlier, and how there's so much mention of smell, and how going back to, so the word chamen in the Bereshit in the Garden of Eden story is used in reference to the serpent, and how the only scent that wasn't corrupted in the garden was the sense of smell, and how the sense of smell basically like can't be corrupted. So you have smell.
It's inherently innocent.
Yeah. Because smell is just smell. It's the most like, you can have emotional attachments to it.
Sense memory can kind of take you back in time too.
But it's hard. You can see no evil. You can hear no evil.
Can't smell no evil. You smell evil.
You can smell evil, but it's a little bit harder.
I've smelled some evil in my day. Yeah. When I smell evil, that's when I need it. I should take out the trash. It's time to
but
empty the bin.
Yeah.
So Purim is celebrating this story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's got the neatest group of themes, basically.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to grasp because you've got this nice little narrative story
That you
And
can
as
get
we've
through in an
already-
hour.
as we've already talked about,
As we more or less have.
the themes are, hiding and disguise. So you got costumes. Then also, like we said, the noisemakers. Every time when the Megillah is read, every time his name comes up, you literally drown out his name.
Yeah. I was telling him last time, I think you were there. We went to the Megillah reading at Chabad. And because when you read Megillah Esther, you don't need a mechitza. So like families can be together, men and women can be in the same room to hear Megillah Esther, which you have to hear twice. And, it's not a work restricted holiday. So we were sitting in the little like social hall, which is right up against the parking lot at our local Chabad center. And some people who didn't have groggers, whenever Haman's name would come up, they would hit the alarm on their cars. The whole parking lot, all the car alarms are
But
going
that
off.
means you also, because it's not work restricted, you also get lots of great pictures and videos.
Yeah.
And then talking about the drama and the disguise, you get a Purim spiel, which is almost like a Christmas pageant, is how, like, if you're from that background, you might think of it, where you tell the story, but it's very, very common, if not universal, to give it some kind of spin, some kind of zhuzh and
Like a Godfather thing.
yeah, sometimes they'll literally do.
Yeah, there's some really cool medieval era puppetry
Yeah,
for Megillah plays.
and then you also get presents of food, and that's
Yeah.
in the text. Presents and gifts to the poor
Yeah.
are straight in there all the way back to the text, and then also getting drunk.
Yeah.
Considered a mitzvah to get drunk on Purim.
So there's in one of the shurim that I listened to, there's again, it was all about the mysticism and like what does it mean? So like the rabbinic ordinance basically is you're supposed to become so intoxicated that you don't know the difference between Mordechai and Haman. There's an understanding amongst some more of the like community is a little more invested in the mystical aspect of it. That means more like you're supposed to be intoxicated on Torah, and that the alcohol can help you open up to be less, more open to taking in Torah. And a lot of communities don't necessarily abide by that. If you've ever had some Purim liquor, oh boy. Oh boy!
Do they bring out the Manischewitz for?
Oh no! That's Shabbos stuff. That's no.
No.
I think Jerusalem Jews started around Purim because we had a bunch of etrog liquor left over. One time on Shabbos.
We got real drunk, you guys. I said bad words. And then yeah. Oh, and then the next day, one of the members of our community, a mother in our community, was very critical of it, and she was like, you know, Jews, we drink a little, we go to sleep. She was like, that's Jewish. Getting plastered is not.
I found a way to halakhically make a simple syrup out of fruit roll-ups on Shabbos, and we mixed it with a trog liquor and a little cocktail. And it was delightful, and I should make some more. I no longer drink, but
And then you woke up on the bathroom floor.
no, we were fine.
We were fine.
We were fine.
We were fine.
There was somebody there who wasn't fine.
Yeah.
And we don't care for various reasons. For various reasons, you guys, we don't actually care.
That's a you problem. I mean,
Yeah.
If you can't hold your Jerusalem juice, that's not my problem. It's more of the liquor holiday. But it
Liquor.
is.
I hardly even know her. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh,
on our
and
podcast for that awful
Hamantashen.
joke.
Hamantashen, yes.
Hamantashen are cookie. Well,
They
I say cookie,
they
but
used to
the
be
dough
brats.
is more It's more like halfway between a bun and a pie crust.
Yeah, you can. They started out yeasted, and if you've never had a savory hamantaschen, let me tell you, had one stuffed with lamb once. Ugh. They are these little triangular cookies, and part of the they're called the hamantaschen, Haman's ears.
Oh,
Yeah, or like the hat that he would wear. And you see a little bit of the filling, not all of it, so it's slowly revealed. You know, you see a little bit. And they're traditionally poppy seed, and they're delightful.
interesting.
Yeah, and there's also like I said, I listen to too much Kabbalistic stuff, and I haven't studied for 40 years, okay? I'm not qualified to discuss Kabbalah.
I'm not qualified to listen. I shouldn't.
If you're a rabbi and you like VeggieTales, email us at Have We Got a Show for You podcast.
Please do. We need guests.
We will just, you didn't have to watch an episode. We'll just talk to you for an hour and a half.
If you'd like to appear anonymously on the podcast,
An anonymous rabbi.
hidden, if you will.
Appearing anonymously on a podcast in 2025. What a luxury.
It must be nice.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Goose, what the hell? Sorry.
So now I know more about the story. Andy, what has this discussion lightened you on the episode, or you still remain more on the critical kind of middling reception of it?
I hate to say it. I felt like they could have even done more. I even see more missed opportunities.
So where do you rate it on a 1 to 10? 10 being a excellent, and 1 being Barney the Purple Dinosaur? What do you?
6.5 or 7.
So you're kind of above middling.
If it were 5 or below, it wouldn't be recognizable as VeggieTales.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's a certain, they've got their stuff together enough, but yeah.
So, my question for you guys, though, because, I think we've spent a little more time establishing, like, what this story is for, Jewish purposes. How is Esther kind of, like, understood in Christian spheres?
I mean, it is a lot of Old Testament stories, sort of like how they've always been taught in VeggieTales, are this is an example for you to follow of a courageous person from history. I love Sky Jitani. Shout out, take a shot. Sky Jitani. He said on an episode of Holy Post that the Bible is thought of by many Christians as some sort of, divine rule book, or like a cosmic self-help. And he says that the Bible is a chronicle of how God relates to his people. And those stories from history are often taught as, here's an example of a person being courageous with God's help, doing what was right. And so it's less steeped in tradition and sort of like a, almost like George Washington cherry tree kind of story. And it's not tied to like a, personal history
Okay.
as much.
Trying to go off of my memories of like how Esther was discussed, the times it would come up. There would be a lot of talk about like how strong she was in her faith. And even less in terms of courage, just like an amorphous, like being strong in your faith. Again, as an example, but also kind of like a lesson that you can reach God anywhere and in any circumstances. And the biggest thing I would say is for such a time as this. There was almost in certain circles, there's always this play or tension between predestination and free will, right? And people are very attracted to the idea of fate or destiny or, things happening for a reason. And within the Christian context I grew up in, a lot of people looked to Esther as confirmation that the things happening in their life and maybe even in the world were heavily influenced by God, and that whatever happened before must be applicable to whatever they're in now, because that's what God set up, almost like dominoes.
It's sort of like how people always say that if you ask God for courage, he's not going to magically make you more courageous. He's going to give you opportunities to be courageous.
Okay.
But the last thing that I remember people talking about in terms of Esther is bound up in femininity and womanhood. That
Yes.
would be brought up a lot.
Biblical womanhood, TMCR.
Especially to like give an example, in the text, it's mentioned that she put on or sauced up with, whatever you want to say, less than the other girls. That with the cosmetics and the jewelry and the clothes, she only went with the bare minimums that the eunuch recommended,
Right.
because
Kinda like
everybody
Daniel.
needs a queer eye for the straight girl.
Yeah.
But
Larry
and
the
this was
eunuch.
like an example of modesty.
There's the Jewish women's magazine called Hadassah. So I think there's a little bit of that too. And I think, I mean, maybe you, Andy, kind of have like more of a perspective on both sides. Because I think growing up, one of the things that was like always part of learning Esther was so much emphasis on Haman and the villain aspect of it, the greater evil side. And I think Jews and Jewish education in general, we tend to have a little more emphasis and focus on the villain, whether it's like the villain of the story, historical villain, whatever. So I know that one of the, there were 2 times a year that we would always talk about Esther, and it was during Purim and when we would do our unit on the Nuremberg trials and how wrapped up the story is in Shoah education. And it always felt not inappropriate because the name of I can't remember which of Hitler's generals it was who, before he gets hung, says this is Purim 1946, and how people are so there's this emphasis on it. And I don't know, as a kid I always thought it was weird in a way, because it was like, no, there were so many other atrocities that this is reminiscent of. And there were so many other times throughout Jewish history where there was essentially a very similar situation.
And like the Beta Israel have their own complete
Right.
additional one that's practically the whole same scenario.
Yeah.
I think, not having a connection to Shoah, the Holocaust, certainly not all the way back to Purim in a sense of like ancestry, definitely leaves the mainstream Christian community. They certainly talk about that aspect of the story, but they're also a lot more interested in how it applies to your friend and the apple.
Yeah.
They're really stretching it. And like I said, the biblical womanhood thing was certainly a lot. And
It's interesting that they adapt this like a Renaissance era Disney movie,
Yeah.
because to children's church, especially stories from the Old Testament, practically are fairy tales. They are framed as morality. I can't necessarily blame Phil Vischer for adapting these stories from the Bible like they're morality plays or fairy tales, because they're very much taught that way.
And I mean, I
children's
think
churches.
that's one of the reasons why, there's not a lot of Jewish children's media like this. And I think the few things that we do have just don't hit as hard, because it's very much just like, here's history. And not enough, I think the only really good kind of independent standalone example is Lights, the 1970 something animated adaptation of the Hanukkah story that is kind of boring and not very magical. And it's, I think one of the things that kind of gets in the way of Jewish children's entertainment is that we don't come at it from that fanciful thing, which is why, again, I would use this to teach in the classroom, because it was no, this is a great introduction. This is really fun. And a lot of what we have for children on Megillat Esther is just, here's the Megillah. Have fun. Let's talk about the Shoah. You're 7.
With this tape, 45 minutes, get in, get out, nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
I wanted to play Mousetrap.
Yeah.
Play Mousetrap. You roll your dice, you move your mice.
Nobody gets hurt.
Well, I did find out that Mousetrap was mostly made by women in single mothers' homes who were like enslaved by the Catholic Church in Ireland from like the 70s to the 90s.
You're talking about Mousetraps?
Yes,
You're talking about
the
the game
game.
Mousetrap.
Yeah,
Mousetrap.
Hasbro used slave labor in Ireland from the Catholic Church to make that game. Anyway, hey, you know what we haven't had yet? You know what we haven't done yet?
We have to, okay, quickly.
You know what? Can I offer you a cup of Joe? Can I offer you your
I'm missing some.
your weekly cup of Joe? The part of the show in which I relate whatever we're talking about back to Joseph.
Yeah.
Oh no, even the mic stand is done with me.
The mic stand is revolting.
Okay.
I'll just hold it.
Broke off.
The leg fully broke off.
It's okay. It happens. I'll hot glue it later.
But
You've tempted. God does not want.
No. Hashem wants this. Listen. Okay. Who else?
Are you sure?
Who else is kind of reluctantly put in a position of power and has to use it in order to save their people?
yeah.
Joseph.
A couple people in the Bible. Okay, yes.
Specifically Joseph, who, right? Okay, hold on, stay with me. Listen. No, they're very connected. They're very related. Joseph also kind of gets put into that number 2 position, and ostensibly is queen. That's what Esther is. And
He's a queen.
Joseph's brothers come to him. And they're like, "Hey, we are starving, and we are going to die from this famine." So Joseph has to bail them out and help them out, and he's the one who has to go and convince Pharaoh of it. Because Pharaoh is like, "Why do I care? I don't what is Canaan? Can I conquer it? What is that?" And eventually he does, and then takes everyone captive. But so it's a reversal in a way. Why are you looking at me like that? Because I'm holding the mic stand up so that I can get this out. Listen, this is important to me. Okay. But they're also outside of King David and Joseph, who are both described for their beauty. Esther's also described for her beauty.
Well, everyone.
And in a way, Joseph kind of wins a beauty competition. He's favored for his beauty.
Listen, you're not getting favored by God if you're an uggo, all right?
That's the moral of Torah.
God hates Echo.
Yeah.
God really does.
Jesus, however, loves the uggo. Zacchaeus was a wee little man, and a wee little man was he.
Okay, so
Blessed are the uggos.
Listen, that's my daily cup of Joe. I can't keep holding this mic stand. Also, all right, so when we're done reading Megillah Esther, we sing a little song, and then we ask the question, who is the secret hero of the Megillah? And I did go over this before we started recording, but this is contemporaneous to the story of Daniel, right? Where's Daniel? Daniel is in the king's court in Babylon. So Daniel is under several different kings. We got Nebuchadnezzar, but Ahasuerus could potentially be the predecessor to Nebuchadnezzar. The first, the second, he's somewhere in there. We don't know how much time has actually passed, but there is the potential for Daniel to be around during the story of Esther. And it is understood that Daniel is one of the eunuchs who helps Esther kind of win. He's the one who's helping prepare her for her portion of the beauty contest and is going back and forth between her and Mordecai in the text. So, secret hero of Megillah Esther, the secret hero of Purim, is the prophet Daniel.
Daniel the Yassifier,
Yeah.
if you will.
Literally.
Well, on that note, Andy, thank you for coming back.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
I'm starting to get a little stale. Will save me. I don't want the people to revolt.
I don't think
much,
anyone's
Andy.
going to revolt.
Those are
I think you're
revolts.
incredibly entitled to your opinion. That's why we have you on the show.
Yeah.
Because Mike and I are just simps for VeggieTales, and we won't question it.
We will glaze Bob and Larry.
Yeah, and I'm trying to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Trying to speak truth to vegetable power.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
By calling it a 6 out of 10
Yeah.
or 7 out of 10. A light 7 to strong 6.
Yeah. See, I'd give it like an 8.5.
Oh yeah, the technical improvements push it over At or above 8.
I was surprised at how little that matters to me as we've gone on, like, you know, seeing the original ones versus the shinier ones, because they're still so, I mean, they're 20 years old now. It's not enough to go the distance.
See, my 8.5.
25 years, sorry.
5 years, yeah.
My 8.5 comes pretty exclusively from Trivial Pursuit mention.
True.
That is,
Okay.
yeah, definitely a highlight. The Pisa's car wheels took it up.
The
Esther's-
Italianness might bring it to a 9.
See,
for me.
Esther's single strand of hair that just won't go anywhere. That's where the rest of the scoring comes in. That meant a lot to me as a child.
The character designer based Esther off of his own daughter and the way that her hair would fall.
I mean, that's
lovely.
Look, I got a cowlick in the same spot. I felt seen. I felt represented. I was like, I also can't get that piece of hair to move. I get it. I too can be queen.
I too.
I don't want to be. Hi, queen.
Hi, queen. Hi, queen.
Thank you.
So again, thank you, Randy, for
Oh,
coming.
it's my pleasure.
Well,
I've been Michael Rufino.
I've been Liz Brody.
And remember,
God
God
made you
made you
special,
special,
and He loves you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.